చెప్పండి లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ లో వాట్ వి హావ్ డిస్కస్డ్ ఇన్ ద లాస్ట్ సెషన్. టోటల్ five units we discussed in last two sessions. Last Saturday and Sunday we have discussed over 5 units. Once I will repeat it, just revise. Unit 1, editorial department. The two main functions of the editorial department are reporting and editing. And the next sizes of newspaper: small newspapers, medium size newspapers, big newspapers. Then setup of editorial department: editor-in-chief, associate editors, assistant editors, news editors, sub-editors, chief sub-editors like chief of bureau, special correspondents, staff reporters, or the staff working under the editorial department. Next, editor's position in the editorial nowadays, and earlier how the editor's position in the editorial department in the newspaper management or otherwise electronic media management. Editor, publisher, printer. Who are the editor? Who are the publisher? Who are the printer? We have discussed last Saturday. And editor's team. Who are in the editor's team? Managing editor, group editor, editor-in-chief, editor, resident editor, executive editor, assistant editor, magazine editor, news coordinator. Like this, we are like this team will be with the editor. Role and responsibilities of the editor. Next, news editor's role. News, what he works with the editorial department. And sub-editor role, sub-editor characteristics, sub-editors qualities, sub-editors requirements, sub-editors duties and functions. All we are discussed in the unit 1. All units one another is interdependent only. We learn the unit number 2, purpose of editing. What we are discussed in the purpose of editing unit, the same will come in another next 2 units also. Like block 3, there is a 6, 7 and 8 units is there. There is also background of this unit will come there also. What the editorial department do, how they were polished the raw material to a polished form. Editorial department, newsworthiness, priority, editing, all this comes. Accuracy, how they have to check accuracy, grammar, clarity, language. Why I am repeating here? Because the coming units, unit number 6, 7 and 8, I will go with these 3 units today. These 3 units interrelated with the first and second unit of our course book. Clarity, language, economy of words, all these only again will come, means elaborative mode. Once we understood all these words, we will handle the other units very easily. Again, come to the third unit and fourth unit are related to the mechanical section, means typography, how the types, letters, sizes, types, all these were discussed in the third unit. These are the mechanical aspects, so not much required here. Typefaces, all we are discussed in the third semester. And in the fourth semester, mute. Suresh, Talati Suresh, mute. In the third and fourth unit, both are the related to the mechanical sections. Mechanical means word face, typefaces, type size, and uh, word processing, desktop publishing. We are discussed in the third unit and fourth unit. And the softwares, columns, how it will be, style sheet, what is a style sheet, what is page layout, what are the DTP applications are available for the editing, like Quark Express, Adobe InDesign, PageMaker, InPage. We are discussed in the fourth unit. And coming to the fifth unit, just I am going through the headings of the units. Layout, fifth unit is layout and design. Why the importance of layout and design, how the print media uses the, because layout and design mainly for the purpose for the print media only, not required layout and design for the electronic media. Okay, they were do graphical images, video, audio editings. That is there is a particularly some staff works with the editorial. In the editorial, some staff works with the electronic media for graphical videos, making images and videos. But print media, we have sub editors only. They have to design, and nowadays they are sub editors only designing. How the headlines they have to adjust in the newspapers, how much the size of the newspaper, and how many columns have to take to fill the news article, and how many lines heading have to given for that article. All this we are discussed in the unit number 5. Okay, now I am going to the unit number 6, editing process. Nothing here difference. Earlier the unit number 2, purpose of editing, purpose of editing, it is like a similar here, editing process. Unit number 6 is the editing process. I will share the screen. Right, editing process. Editing process already in the second unit we are discussed by purpose of editing. Here also editing process. Just we are knowing editing is an important assignment in a newspaper. Not only newspaper, electronic media, electronic media, and also print media, social media, wherever it is, it's an important assignment for their media organizations. For that matter, editing is necessary for any written work to make it worth publishing or broadcasting or telecasting. Editing in journalism is when an individual assesses a piece. Piece means here copy. We called news copy, news article from the reporters. We called as a copy. Sometimes we call a news piece and news articles. That is another similar word. That one we have to use here is a copy. Editing copy. Okay. Assess a piece of content and makes the necessary changes, ensuring the content is of the required standard. Every newspaper follows some standards. There is a style sheet. Every newspaper has a style sheet. How they have to use the language, grammar, and their management policy. All this is included in the style sheet. Accordingly, the style sheet only the sub editor have to work for the organization. Editing what involves, it is an overview reading of the copy. Hereafter, I am telling the word copy. Copy means a written script from the from the contributors or reporters, staff reporters, agency, whatever it is. They overview the copy. In the editing process, the sub-editors or the editorial department team, they overview the copy and they reading and second time reading. Actually, there is a word like at least three times have to read the copy. Then only the sub-editor will understand the content, what the theme of the copy. And another important point is editing symbols. Nowadays, on electronic, we are using electronic monitor. Means some applications are available. We are working on that applications only. Separately, there is not required any editing symbols. Some 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there is a no digital, there is a no modern technology available. That time, every sub-editor who take the printout of the copy from the reporters or agencies or staff reporters, and they were mark the corrections in that copy only. Copy means news article which was written by the contributor or staff reporters or news agencies. Okay, the editors, they have to put the marks on the copy only itself. But now technology grown up, modern technology available now, we are working on the computer monitor. There is not required any symbols to put on the computer system. We are working on the system. It may be the corrections automatically, it is appears on the monitor. Anyway, we have to know about the symbols, editing symbols. In the textbook, there is an image is there. Some symbols are, one image is there given in the textbook. Delete what the symbol is we are using for while editing. Now this manual application, manual assignment, manual work is not anymore, but just for our awareness, we have to learn the symbols for editing. This is also called proofreading, proofreading symbols also. See here, delayed symbol, and the example also given, one side, insert word, and here is the example given. Is the screen is appearing to you? Response? Okay. Insert a space and insert omit word, state as is, change stroke, lowercase, uppercase. We are now aware of the typo in the unit number 3, 2 and 3. There is, we know about the typefaces. Typefaces means fonts. So alphabets, how it will be. Generally, we used small letters and capital letters, but technically we have to use lowercase and uppercase. Here it is LC and UC. Lowercase means small letters, uppercase means capital letters. But hereafter we have to use technical words only, because we are now journalism, we are in the professional. So as a professionalist, we have to use lowercase and uppercase instead of small letters, capital letters. Next, make some symbols and their description and example given in the textbook. Once go through with the textbooks. Here is some lower cases, upper cases, spaces, word, delete, and paragraph, new paragraph, turn around, use single space, move as shown, given here. And another image in this session only maybe comes in another image. There is some more symbols I will show you. Any doubts on the symbols?
Sir, ఇవన్నీ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాల్సి వస్తుందా?
Nowadays not required. For your net set examination it is required, because in the that entrance test they were asked at least one question from the symbols. Some history orientation we read in the semester 1, history of media. Actually history is not required for a practical person, practical journalist, but as well as we have to know the history of media also. In set national eligible test, there is at least 4-5 questions from that unit. And another thing is, say, unit number 2 and unit number 3 of our this book, there is also at least 2 or 3 questions from there, that unit, in the national eligibility test or state eligibility test. In practical, these are not required, because all technology replaced with these activities manually doing by the sub editors or editorial department, editorial team. Okay. Next.
Sir, ఈ క్లాస్ మీనన్ సార్ అని మాకు వచ్చింది టైం టేబుల్.
అవును, మీనన్ సార్ తీసుకోవట్లేదు కాబట్టి లాస్ట్ 2 సెషన్స్ కూడా నేనే తీసుకున్నాను, లాస్ట్ సాటర్డే అండ్ సండే. నా పేరు సునీల్ కుమార్ పోతన, నేను అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రొఫెసర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ జర్నలిజం అండ్ మాస్ కమ్యూనికేషన్. ఇక్కడ మన దగ్గర కాంట్రాక్చువల్ బేస్ లో చేస్తున్నాను, అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ అసిస్టెంట్ ప్రొఫెసర్ మన డిపార్ట్మెంట్ లోనే.
ఓకే సార్, అంటే నేను ఆయన క్లాస్ ఒక్కటి కూడా అటెండ్ అవ్వలేదు, మరి ఇక్కడ అది ఉంది అందుకే పేరు.
లేదు యాక్చువల్లీ సత్యమేనన్ సార్ లాస్ట్ 4 డేస్, గతంలో 4 డేస్ కూడా తీసుకోలేదు. సో 4 డేస్, అట్లీస్ట్ 4 డేస్ లెఫ్ట్ కాబట్టి నేను ఇంకా ఆ సార్ తీసుకోవట్లేదని లాస్ట్ 2 డేస్, సాటర్డే అండ్ సండే, అండ్ నౌ అండ్ టుమారో ఆల్సో దీస్ 4 classes I am taking, right? Next, coming to the topic, handling various types of copy. Unmute others maybe. Yusuf, maybe Yusuf, unmute. Yeah. Any queries? Unmute others please unmute. Please mute yourself, others. Right. Handling various types of copy. Copy means, already I told you, a written word by the reporters, contributors, whatever the news agencies. Okay. Where we will get the copy? From the contributors, staff reporters, and agency news. Various types means contributors who are little knowledge. They have only little knowledge about the professionalistic of journalism. Staff reporters, they have repeatedly trainings. They work a complete man. Like agencies, news agencies also, they will recruit their staff qualified persons only, so they can also do their copies correct only, means accordingly the our style, means news style is a, for newspaper is a pyramid, inverted pyramid style, so they were give. But the contributor levels at ground level, some contributor level rural reporters, they are, even though they are a little less knowledge about the copywriting, for them we have to handle more attention for the contributors copy. Another function is rewriting. What involves in the editing process is rewriting. Why rewriting? Some sentences are complex sentences, so it is not understand by the reader or viewer for electronic media or listener for the radio media. So the contributor, so the sub editor need to change the copy to a clean and clear, concise, simple, short sentences. Okay, whatever there is a writing word comes in your journalism subject, for all subjects, all papers, you must remember that simple, short and clear sentences. Next, another function in the editing process is a translation. Now all newspapers are covering based on the national, international and regional, state, like every newspaper has a page, separate page for every section, and sometimes sections for women and films, sports is there. So we have to know some text, some copy coming from the another language, like a international language, means another country's language. We have to translate it to the original, our newspaper language. In the national level, we have just general regularly using languages. Some other languages are, but there are no scripts, some languages like, but national languages, we have 22 national languages. We will get the information from the various language areas. So one of the process involved in the editing is to translation the copy from other language to our language. Translation, while translation, it is required skills, because some words may not be in the original language, means our language, but the words is in particular language only. But at that time we have to use similar words only, not exactly true translate word. Some, for example, we see in Telugu newspapers, car, it is a English word. We use in Telugu also car only instead of a original Telugu word. Some Duma Shakatam, for example, rail, train, we are using train, otherwise rail only in Telugu language also. But sometimes we see a practical purpose, some newspapers are giving some original Telugu words also, but it is not understandable to a common reader. We have to look in this matter also. Some words actually, for example, in Telugu, in Andhra Pradesh, like we have
సార్ ఫర్
for example,
కార్ ని బండి అని కూడా అంటారు కదా సార్.
Bandi means anything, vehicle, that is a vehicle. Bandi means vehicle. Some ante manam we don't use exactly translation words. sometimes we have to use the own words only, means own words of that language only. For example, ఇక్కడ మన దగ్గర బతుకమ్మ సంబంధించిన రిలేటెడ్ వర్డ్స్, బతుకమ్మ సంబంధించిన వంట సంబంధించిన అంశాలు ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి, వంట పదార్థాలు, వాటిని మనం we could not translate it to the English. We have to use the same word only. For example, sakinalu, we have to sakinalu అనేది ఒక వంట పదార్థం for బతుకమ్మ. In the Dasara season time, Dasara or Sankranti season time they made, but we are translating the same word to in English newspaper. For an English newspaper, we are working with an English newspaper, for example, we don't translate that word as a rice made food item. We have to use the same word in italic. Some other italic words gives that is the original word of the particular language. We use sakinalu only instead of the rice. In general, we will give the rice made food item, but that is not exactly meaning of the sakinalu. We could not replace with that word in English as a Telugu word. Okay, sometimes it is happens in demographically also. Some places there is a word, but in our area, our region, our language, the word, similar word is not apply in our region. So we have to look after all these elements while translation. Attribution also is required from where the source is coming, because we have to know about the source also, because without source we could not translate it. We have to look after grammar and sometimes culture. Now I have given one example about the Telangana's pindi vanta pindi padardamu sakinalu. That is related to the culture. We could not translate the same to in Russian language. Otherwise, if we work with a Russian newspaper, we could not translate it the same word. Okay. Next, integration and upgradation. Integrating and upgrading. We are working with a newspaper. In case of we are working with a newspaper, for example, a incident happened in the day hours. The reporter reported the news and sent to the editorial department. For example, it is a road accident. While covering the news, there is a casualties are 4 members, but later the number may be increased, 6 number or 7 number. So the reporter gives us that input over phone, otherwise over email. We have a communication methods, number of communication methods. As a sub editor, we have to, whenever our deadline of the newspaper, every newspaper has some deadlines, some 10:30 or 11:30 or 1 o'clock, some or gives morning editions. Morning edition is not dark editions, means they were cover the news at the time of 2 a.m. also. They were cover the newspaper in that newspaper. They cover that news at the instant happened at the time of 2 a.m. also. It covers in that newspapers. City editions like it will cover. So accordingly, our deadline, we have to update the content, and we have to integrate. Sometimes a huge meeting have happened, so we depute many reporters in the various areas. Some reporters concentrate on the guest speaking, and some reporters concentrate on that area, means facilities. Some reporters concentrates on the public gathering. Some reporters concentrate on the interviews with the leaders. So we have to integrate all these news and cover in one main article, and we will give some sub article related articles in next pages. We will see regularly in every newspaper like this kind of method they will follow. Next, proofreading. Already in the slide number 2, we saw proofreading symbols. That is there is a proofreading. Not nowadays, proofreading no sub-editor is doing. Otherwise, there is a no proofreaders nowadays recruiting by the newspaper organization. Earlier, for the purpose of news reading, sorry, here proofreading is a single word only we have to use. Proofreading is a proofreader is there, but now they could not recruited particularly for the proofreaders. All it is happened on the computer monitor only. There is a traditional method. Traditional method means they have to check police punctuations words. They don't go with the grammatical aspects. They only put the give a space, delete the words up, and where the punctuational marks, full stop, comma, colon, they have looking the proofreader looking these matters. It is also required double proofreading. Means this is a traditional method I am telling. Earlier days, what kind of proofreading is going on. Now, this section no more in the editorial department. And coming to the style book or style sheet, every newspaper is a particular policy of their management. They will give only their policy related news only. They cover their policy related news in a 3 column, 4 column or 5 column or half page, but they don't cover the same instant. The same kind of instant happened in against their policy. They will give in a single column only or 2-3 lines only, a small paragraph only. And what kind of typefaces means fonts and what size is to be used for their newspaper, all includes in the style book. For heading, 2 column heading, what kind of title, what kind of font, and what size of that font, everything is pre scheduled in this style sheet. That is only with the key function only. Functional keys is there on the keyboard. We know there is a 12 functional keys is there, 12 or 13, 10, 15, 10 or 12 functional keys is there in every keyboard. With that key only one F1, we click the F1, the font size and size of the type of the font and color, everything will in a click away. That will be loaded, means pre-scheduled in the style sheet. Next, copy editing. Copy means already I explained. Copy refers to a written or typewritten text for typesetting, printing, publication, broadcast, or other types of distribution is called copy. Copy editor, sometimes called copy editor, sometimes the same person is a sub-editor. What they do, their job is to make the copy clear, correct, concise, and comprehensible and consistent. These 5 the copy editor looking there in his or in her job. Evaluation of technology in editing. Earlier only manual system. There is only some 30 years ago, some 40 years ago, there is no computer monitors, only manual composing. In the unit number 2
Sir.
and unit number 3, yes, please.
సార్ ఇప్పటి స్లైడ్ ఒకసారి బ్యాక్ వేరా సార్, జస్ట్
Copy editing.
సారీ ఫర్ డిస్టర్బ్.
Okay, copy editing.
ప్లీజ్. యా yes sir, this one only. Okay sir, thanks. Over sir.
Next, evaluation of technology in editing. Earlier we have to discuss here with the some 30 years ago what kind of technology there is and what kind of editing process is there, and nowadays how the changes came, we have to discuss. For electronic media is a different applications came. For print media is a different applications are available now to do editing on the computer monitor only. Earlier, sub-editor or editorial department, they put their, they use pen, pencil, and they indicate their remarks on the paper only. Then it will go to the typesetters. There is a mechanism is a typesetting. Typesetters, they will do typing and they send to the some plate making. Manual attachment is there. Now all these works under the one section only, one person only. All these are now a sub-editor is doing in all newspapers, because technology gives this advantage to in editing process. Now digital transmission also available. We will see newspapers, for example, in print version, we see one image only, but in now in electronic e-newspaper, we see, once we open the website of that newspaper, we will see number of images of the same news article on monitor. Are you understand this word? Are you experienced this this thing? See, in the print newspaper, we will see only one image, printed image only. But in electronic newspaper, means e-newspaper, once we are open in monitor or otherwise our mobiles, we see number of images at the place of same what we are seeing in the newspaper printed version.
Okay, sir.
Now the technology has changed. There is also in a e-paper, there is also gives audio visual format of that newspaper also. Not only text, not only image, they were giving audio video also. Sometimes audio, otherwise sometimes video, with video and audio coverage also gives at the same place only with the click of click away. So a little change is required for a print edition and electronic e-paper for a newspaper organizations. Headlines, coming to the headlines. First, we have to know the types: one line type, two types, two lines, some three lines. In English newspaper, they will give 3 lines headings also, but in Telugu newspapers, they don't follow 2 lines, and even though 2 lines, 3 lines, like they will give in a single line only, Telugu newspapers. But in English newspapers, for single column, in Telugu newspapers also single column news, they were given 2 lines headlines. But maximum now avoiding 3 lines headlines. But in English newspapers, we will see 3 lines headlines also, small pieces. In case of they have to give more attention to the reader, they will give subheadings, otherwise decks. We call the decks, official word deck, otherwise subheadings. They were giving in the subheadings the theme of the content. Patterns, many these are here: cross line pattern, drop line pattern, flush left, hanging, induction style. All this we will see in English newspapers and some Telugu newspapers also. Telugu newspapers mainly they focus only center headlines. If they have to give a 2-line headline, they will give in center, not flush left, flush right. Means we will see in the MS Word, there is a paragraph system. All letters comes in one side, all letters comes in another left side, otherwise right side, otherwise center spread, otherwise full skip, continuous words. justify model. The same kind of patterns used in the headlines also. Sometimes inverted pyramid style also, pyramid style. All these are not following nowadays. All newspapers are now giving a simple headlines only, 1 line, 2 lines headlines, and some subheadings are giving. This is an earlier session. Earlier, some 30 years ago, 20 years ago, there is a manual mechanism. That time they were used this kind of all variety kind of headlines patterns. Now very simply giving only single line headlines in either Telugu or English, and they were giving some subheadings instead of 3 line, 4 line headlines. And one another thing is unit count and headline schedule. What exactly this is not a assignment for a sub editor nowadays, because of technology replace this old assignment. Because earlier there is a manual typesetting, so the typesetter have to collect the letter and arrange that letters and give the space. All this kind of manual system is there, but now there is a no manual system. All it is on monitor only. All these actions done by applications, not involvement of the sub editor. But we have to know what kind of letter is, how much size it is. Here some sizes I have mentioned here. Count of all lowercase letters as 1 unit. Lowercase letters we called 1 unit, except F, L, I, T, J. These 5 letters, only these 5 letters are half unit. Remaining all lowercase letters are 1 unit. Okay. And in entrance exams, they were asked this question: how the small t letter, unit count of the small t letter. Otherwise, unit count of the small means lowercase of L letter. Unit count of the lowercase of F letter. These 5 letters, F, lowercase of F, L, I, T, J, count as half inch. Remaining all lower cases are 1 unit. And M and W, lower case of M and W is 1.5 unit. Okay. 1.5 unit, these 2 letters are 1.5 units. These 5 letters are half inch, half unit, not inch, half unit. And remaining 19 are 1 unit. Okay. Any doubt on this letter counting?
Sir.
This is not required nowadays of practical session, but we have to know it.
Okay, sir.
Next, uppercase letters, 1.5, except uppercase letters all are 1.5 unit. Here is not 111, it is a 1.5 unit. Here also 1.5 unit. This is half, 1.5 unit. Except capital letter of I is a half unit only. And M and W are 2 units. Okay, for capital letter, for uppercase letters, all capital letters except 3 letters, means one I is a half unit, M and W are 2 units, remaining all are 1.5 units. We are here discussing unit count of the letters, unit count of the English letters. Don't be confused. There is a no unit count in the Telugu or all the others. Only we are focusing here in English only. Okay, coming to the numerical letters, numericals. all numericals are one unit, and the numerical letter 1 is half unit. The numerical letter 1 is half unit. Okay, don't be confused here. And coming to the space and punctuation marks are all are half unit. Why why this unit count is earlier manual method? Manual method, they have to compose each letter so as to fill the space, because some tablet page, the width is 34 centimeters. So accordingly, they have to fill all these letters, compose. So that is why that there is a unit count is required. But now there is a no requirement of the unit count for present day of work assignment. News schedule. News schedule uh, is a program which is discussed with the editorial department, and what kind of news will cover up to 10 o'clock, up to 11 o'clock, up to 12 o'clock, because depends on the news organization, their deadline. So what news will go to the first page, what will be the second page, what will be the sports page, what will be the uh, crime page, otherwise cinema page. Like this is schedule, and what will be the first page news. This is scheduled with the discussion of editorial team, news editor and the editorial team will they coordinate each other and they decide the news schedule. Any doubts in this unit? Unit number 6. Response? Is there any doubts? No doubt more?
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Will you answer if a long question and a short question come from this unit?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Next, unit number 7, editing the copy. Unit number 7 and again unit number 8, unit number 6, all these interrelated with the unit number 1 and unit 2. If you are understood unit number 1 and 2, you will do these 3 units very easily. If some questions may similar for the answers are similar to unit 1 and unit 1 2 and unit 6 7 8. Okay, don't be confused, but both are correct your answers only. In the unit 1 black one, unit 1 and 2, just we are given overall, means a brief introduction. In later units like 6 7 and 8 units, we are given here detailed in detailed, like a paras, every functions and a discussion, complete details on every topic. I'm going to discuss on unit number 7. Unit numbers. I will share the screen. In the unit number 7, editing the copy. Here we will discuss on meaning of editing, guidelines for editing, scope and objectives of editing, tools of editing, copy selection and testing. Once you go through this content, you are already aware of these contents. For example, editing, definition, editing of definition, editing, definition of the editing, we learned in the unit number 1 only itself. Unit number 2 also there is a purpose and purpose of the editing. There is also we learned why the heading editing is required for a newspaper, otherwise a electronic media. And okay, once again, just we'll go the definitions. Editing is an art. We have to repeatedly, we have to repeat it. What you learned in the semester, unit 1 and unit 2, here we have to, you have to focus is, it is again for this block. Means if you are get the question number again the same in the 6th or 7th question or 5th question, because earlier courses also, earlier course books also, someone raised some questions are similar in the examination hall, but it is not exactly similar. The aspect and theme inside the content is different. Some may it is different, but the question itself, it is appears both questions are same. Okay, by this is a clarification is you will get the same kind of question. Questions means same kind of what it is answer you have to answer, same like similar answers you have to give for questions coming from the unit number 1 and 2 and unit number 6, 7 and 8. Okay, editing is an art. It is done to achieve a balance of news. Editing plays a vital role in any publication. Why editing is to improve the quality and appeal of the copy. Who do the editing work? Mainly sub-editor involves to edit the copy. Sometimes sub-editor is also called copy editor also. Guidelines for editing. While we do editing, already some editorial work is done by the applications. Means, for example, newspapers, they were use Quark Express, some application it is for editing, editing and page designing. For electronic media, there is also some applications, because there is, it focus where is the mistake. For example, a spelling mistake is done, already it is appears on the screen. No need to particularly check by the sub-editor. So some work is done by the applications only. Here is a one spelling mistakes, right? What we have to do, we have to check person's name, places, dates, facts and figures. Especially we have to focus on this these sections like persons, places, days. In case of one person, instead of one person we will give another person name, it may go wrong. So we have to check thoroughly the person's names and places name, dates, facts and figures. The sub-editor, another role is write headline. Write a headline that fits the given stories mentioned in the news story. Here's the story. This is a story icon. Write a headline that fits the given stories mentioned in the news story. And the another activity already we have discussed a number of times. We have to give our content as a reader friendly, so that we have to use small sentences. Small sentences easily understand by the reader instead of lengthy sentences. Sometimes, but now some newspapers are giving lengthy sentence, some 40-word sentence. But in original, in a survey conducted by some researchers, some scholars, 10 to 15 word sentence is easily understand by the reader. But some newspapers are maintain some standards. They are giving, instead of small sentences, they were giving some 30-word sentence, 40-word sentence. It is a critical to understand entire in a one sentence. But in general, we have to give a small sentence is a reader friendly. As a sub editor, we have to give small sentences only. Objectives of editing. Why editing is required? Objectives. So this is purpose of editing, and earlier we learned the editing process. Again, it is coming again here. Objectives of editing is accuracy. Accuracy means some credit. If we will, our organization where we are working, if we will give correct, accurate news only, the credit of organization, that news organization or electronic media organizations, credit will go, credit will be there is. Otherwise, they lost the credit. If once they lost the credit, they lost the circulation. Otherwise, they lost the viewership for electronic media. So sub-editor role is here to look in the accuracy, whether the reporter given facts or not, they were given is correct or not. I have to check by the sub-editor. That is called action. In action, it is called editing. Brevity means concise. Earlier we have discussed about the one sentence, how the sentence may be. The same apply for the entire news article also. If a small instance happened, it is covered in a 4 columns, but the reader is not focused on to read all 4 columns of text. It is a small instant, it is not a importance. So that they have to give, as a sub-editor, have to give concise copy on concise news only in the publication. Next, clarity. Clarity is another objective. Without clarity of a news means a mixing of sentences, complex sentences, it is not readable. Earlier, I have given one example that a 40-word sentence comes in a standard newspaper, but they feel it is as a they're prestigious because our newspaper gives more standard than other newspapers. But that is not suitable. That is not fit for all kind of readers. So they have to focus on all categories of readers. For example, in Telugu also, even though Telugu also we could not read, a Telugu person could not read a 40-word sentence. He could not understand a 40-word sentence. So instead of 40-word sentence, you have to give a 4 sentences instead of 1 40-word sentences, 10-word sentences of a 4 sentences. So we have to break the sentence and give a number of sentences. Another thing is readability. Why editing is required? Editing only, not only the content, news content, focus on the design also. Sometimes designers do that work in the newspapers, but sub-editor, otherwise editorial team, have to give some inputs to the designers, because whether the image where have to fit in that news article. If there is a 4-column item, sometimes now it is coming, all designers, they were giving in a image formats. They do some graphics and gives us with a small heading only, 1-word heading, 2-word heading. With the 2-word heading gives more attention instead of a number of words, 5-word heading or 6-word heading. The new 2-word gives more attention to the reader to focus on that news article. And attribution is a source where you are get that news from. For example, a official news source, official persons are giving the information that is more credibility, because there is a person, means for example, a information about the road accident, there is a police personal source is attributed, that is a credibility. Instead of a witness could not observe all those things, but he only sometimes only stay with the instant, but police personnel, they were give full details. That is, we believe, and we will give the police personnel's attribution only, that we will take the information from the police personnel only. Balance and fairness. Yeah, this is a matter of designing and the matter of management policy also. We don't, for example, a incident happened, we have to take the both incident, means 2 incidents happen at a time. 2 meetings are conducted at a time. We have to cover both in a similar way in the news, in the newspaper, otherwise in electronic one. But we will see it is depends on the management policy. We could not fulfill this objectivity based on the present day of management policy. Next one is fact checking. Fact checking is also important because nowadays after coming from the emerged social media emerged in our day life, we are seeing many fake news in the social media. Sometimes what happens, the reporters also thinks, even staff reporters or contributors, they were thinks there is a real news, they were write and send to the editorial desk, but the sub editor have to check whether that is a real news or a fake news. The last one is following the style sheet. Every newspaper, as already I explained in earlier slides, every newspaper is own style sheet of their fonts and their sizes of headlines, body text, and their management policy. So sub-editor while editing, he or she look in this style sheet accordingly their management policy. Any doubts? Discussion? Anything else? Queries?
No, sir.
Sir, balancing and fair, they couldn't join, sir, option దాంట్లో.
పేర్లు places.
Sir, balancing and fairness.
Fairness, balancing
Sir,
and fairness.
ఒకసారి. అవును సార్.
అదే ఇదేమిటంటే డిజైనింగ్, మామూలుగా టెక్నికల్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఈజ్ ఏ డిజైనింగ్. అంటే డిజైనర్ చూస్తాడు, అంటే ఏ న్యూస్ ఎక్కడ రావాలి, తర్వాత జనరల్గా డిజైనర్స్ ఏంటంటే మన టాబ్లెట్ పేజ్ కానీ ఏదే పేజ్ కానీ ఒక 4 క్వార్టర్స్గా మార్చేసి ఇమేజ్ ఎలా ఉండాలి, టెక్స్ట్ ఎలా ఉండాలి, తర్వాత మరొక క్వార్టర్లో ఎటువంటి ఇమేజ్ ఉండాలి, బ్యాలెన్సింగ్ అంటారు దీన్ని. బ్యాలెన్సింగ్ అండ్ ఫెయిర్నెస్ అంటే రీడబుల్గా రీడర్కి రీడబుల్గా ఉండే విధంగా ఎలా రాయాలనేది. అయితే ఇక్కడ బ్యాలెన్స్ అండ్ ఫెయిర్నెస్ ఈజ్ అబౌట్ ది టెక్నికల్ ఎలిమెంట్ గురించి తీసుకుంటే డిజైనర్ పార్ట్. ఇంకా మరొక బ్యాలెన్సింగ్ అండ్ ఫెయిర్నెస్ ఏంటి అంటే మేనేజ్మెంట్ పాలసీ అకార్డింగ్లో కూడా దానికి అనుగుణంగా కూడా వార్తలు ఎంపిక సెలెక్షన్, వార్త ఎంపిక కానీ, వార్త ప్రయారిటీ కానీ, వార్త అంటే పేజ్ 1లో రావాలన్నా, పేజ్ ఇన్సైడ్ పేజెస్లో రావాలన్నా ఎలా అనేది జనరల్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ ఏంటి అంటే, ఎడిటింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ ఏంటి అంటే మేనేజ్మెంట్ పాలసీ అంటే బయాస్ అంటే ఒక వర్గానికి అనుకూలంగా ఇవ్వడము, మరొక వర్గానికి తక్కువ అంచనా వేయడము అటువంటిది లేకుండా అన్ని రకాల వార్తలన్నీ ఒకే పద్ధతిలో చూడాలనేది ఎడిటింగ్ యొక్క ఆబ్జెక్టివ్. కానీ ఇది ప్రస్తుతం అమలు అవుతలేదు, అంటే దీన్ని ఎక్కువ అమలు చేయలేకపోతున్నారు. ఎందుకంటే మేనేజ్మెంట్ పాలసీని ఫాలో అవుతున్నప్పుడు సబ్ ఎడిటర్ కుడ్ నాట్ బ్యాలెన్స్ అండ్ ఫెయిర్నెస్ ఇన్ హిస్ ఎడిటింగ్ వర్క్. 2 aspects, as a designing aspect and another thing is quality of news. 2 రకాలుగా వస్తుంది ఇక్కడ బ్యాలెన్స్ అండ్ ఫెయిర్నెస్ దగ్గర. ఓకే
ఓకే సార్.
నెక్స్ట్ టూల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఎడిటింగ్. మనకు పాత రోజుల్లో తెలుసు, వి నోన్ అర్లియర్ డేస్ సబ్ ఎడిటోరియల్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ దే యూజ్ పెన్ అండ్ పెన్సిల్. For any clarifications, for translation they use dictionaries. Any clarification they go through with the reference books in their libraries and old paper clippings. But now the technology is emerged technology gives all this relief from all these manual pen, pencil, dictionaries. All these are in application oriented only. In the application only it is appearing. No need to put a mark with a pen. No need to put a mark with a pencil. Sometimes dictionary meanings are available on the application only. Means, for example, Quark Express, otherwise MS Word, otherwise PageMaker. There is only, it is meanings and sometimes grammatical mistakes, sometimes spelling mistakes also appearing in the monitor only of that application. For rewriting, editing tools are earlier is different. Now are the difference. But earlier one slide I discussed about the objectives. In the present technology era, the amount of work for the sub editor has increased, because sometimes we have to check, fact checking, all these. Sometimes some words, for example, in US meaning is US word spell is different than British word. In English, for example, English there is a US word and British word. Both are same spells only, but some application shows that one is a spelling mistake. So sometimes we have to look in all these matters also. And another thing is that numbers and technological orientation work now increased, and similarly work nature is putting with our hands is less, and using with our mind is increased, this technology. Copy selection. So we will get the news from the various sources, like our staff reporters, contributors, and sometimes from the advertising, sometimes from the news agencies, and sometimes from the contributors, staff reporters, like this. After received all these copies, we have to select which is related to which category. like we seen in the newspaper, present day newspapers, each type of news is giving one page, devoted to one page. For crime, one page, and for sports, 2 or 3 pages is for sports. For education, devoted for one page. For health, for agriculture, for women, for cinemas, all these now we are seeing in our newspapers. Sub-editor's role is to select the copy first, and they have to sort it to the different categories and give to the particular persons. In the editorial section also, there is a sub-editor for political news, there is a sub-editor for crime news, there is a sub-editor for business, there is a sub-editor for agriculture related news. So news editor, who will filter it is in a normal editorial departments, like a medium size page, otherwise big size newspapers, there is a news editor who separate it, who categorized, who sort it and send to the particular sub editors. Next one is copy selection accordingly to the international news, state and regional, and sometimes nature. Nature means sports, it is a business, or it is a crime related, or it is a cinema related. So accordingly, select the copies and send the particular pages who are looking that particular page, that particular related news of the sub editor. The news editor will sort it and dispose to the particular sub editors. Coming to the headlines, what we have to look in while giving the headlines. Headline is a, what is headline? Headline is a 2-3 word of important theme of the copy, gist of the copy. The headline should be proximity, means nearness. If instance happened in America and in Hyderabad, but the casualties, but the incident is a similar, but we will give priority to the proximity, means Hyderabad news only we will give. So we will focus on the local news instead of other countries. Prominence means prominent persons. We in the society there is a prominent persons. If anything happens, prominent person comes under like VIPs, VVIPs, celebrities, ministers. These, if they go to a temple visiting also, it's a comes under the news. But a layman visits the temple, we could not cover the news. While giving headlines, we have to give prominence to the person in the headline. We have to give priority of the VIP or VVIP. Why the headlines? Headlines is to grab the attention of the reader. If the headline is interest only, then the reader will go through to read the entire article. Timeliness. For example, in the headline, it will things like that it is a old news. The reader could not go. So the words what we are using, that should be attract the reader. ODT means the routine headlines. If we give the routine headlines, the reader could not attention on this. So we have to give some new words. Nowadays we are seeing in a Telugu newspapers, Telugu or English. They were Telugu especially. They were giving more attractive words to attract the news readers. With one word or 2 word headline, they are giving, and it is grabbing more focus, more attention of the readers. Significance of the headline, how it is may the headline is gives entire uh, theme of the news article or not, we have to see in this section. Some human interest, conflict, human interest, and some impact headlines. Impact headlines means all headlines which are mainly based on the reader attention. If the headline is a human interest, reader will focus on that news article. All these are very simple things only. Once you go with the news, your textbook, it is very clear and clear sentences as given in the textbook. Because of the time limit, I'm going to the fastly. Next is while giving the headlines and otherwise and news articles also, in the editing process, the sub-editor should follow some issues related to newsworthy and damage of his paper image, libel and slant. In the you are now in the 6th semester, media laws and ethics is there. There is, you will get the word libel and slant. These are the defamation, comes under the defamation. If the text in libel for newspapers, it is a written word. For electronic media, it is a audio visual form. So libel comes under the written, and slant come some defamations. It's a slant means oral misinformation. We will see in newspaper, in electronic media. Libel is a printed material. In the text, in the newspapers, we will see newspaper. If a damage of someone's reputation, we will get the defamation. When we have to give we have to give rejoinders. Otherwise, we have to give again clarification. Otherwise, we have to face in the court of law also. So while editing, we have to look in all these law related, ethical related issues also. Sometimes editing, why it is editing is required for advertisement interest also. Advertisement is a publicity. So if we will cover the news, the particular organization, they will give commercial advertisement to the newspapers, otherwise electronic media. So advertisement interest also, we have to cover news in our news organization as a sub-editor. Next one is a praising or condemn the person or institution. All these are the editing process only. While editing is a simple thing only, technological orientation is a simple, but mentally means our mind has to, we have to focus. Mind should be focused on all these things like ethical, legal, and advertisement orientation, and praising also. Some newspapers already I have discussed, they are give their own organization, their own bias, means they will give, for example, a newspaper is related to one political party, they will give more news of their political party only, and they just give one or two other newspaper articles. Unit count and headline schedule already we are discussed earlier. This slide, Why? Because it is came again. I think so. This is a earlier unit also we have discussed about the unit count. Any queries? We have short of the time. Suresh, any queries? Any doubts? Suresh, Vanaja, Manjula.
Sir?
Okay. Any
Sir,
doubts?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
తెలుగుకి ఫండ్స్ ఉంటాయన్నారు సార్ మీరు లాస్ట్
sir.
సాటర్డే
sir.
ఫండ్స్ అని
Sir.
అవేంటివి కొంచెం చెప్పారు సార్.
తెలుగులో ఫాంట్స్ మీరు ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయండి. దీంట్లో ఏంటంటే నాకు ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ గుర్తుకొస్తలేదు. సేమ్ ఇంగ్లీష్ ఫాంట్స్ ఎట్లా ఉంటాయో టైమ్స్ న్యూ రోమన్, ఏరియల్, అలానే తెలుగులో కూడా ఫాంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. అయితే వాటిని ఫాంట్స్ ని ఒక్కొక్క న్యూస్ పేపర్ ఒక్కొక్క రకంగా వాటిని అంటే వాళ్ళు అండ్ యూజ్ దేర్ ఫాంట్స్. ఆ ఫాంట్స్ ప్రిపేర్ చేసిన ఫాంట్స్ అనేది ఎవరైతే ప్రిపేర్ చేస్తారో వాటిని కొనాల్సి ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని నాకు తెలిసి తెలుగు ఫాంట్స్ సంబంధించి ఎవరికైనా ఐడియా ఉందా? మన తెలుగు న్యూస్ పేపర్ లో పనిచేసే సబ్ ఎడిటర్స్ కి ఎవరైనా ఐడియా ఉంటుంది?
అను ఫాంట్
అను ఫాంట్స్ లో కూడా
పేజ్ మేకర్స్ కానీ పేజ్ మేకర్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా సార్. పేజ్ మేకర్స్ కానీ
లేదు. అను ఫాంట్ అనేది మామూలుగా అది సాఫ్ట్వేర్. అంటే ఒక వాళ్ళు ఇంకా ఫాంట్ పేర్లు కూడా ఉంటాయి ఇన్సైడ్. సరస్వతి ఫాంట్ లైక్ సరస్వతి ఫాంట్ లైక్ ఇలా ఫాంట్స్ నేమ్స్ ఉంటాయి. సేమ్ ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఎలా ఫాంట్ నేమ్స్ ఉన్నాయో తెలుగులో కూడా ఫాంట్ నేమ్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఒక్కొక్క ఫాంట్ కి అంటే ఒక్కొక్క ఫాంట్ ఉండే స్టైల్ ని బట్టి ఆ ఫాంట్ పేరు ఉంటుంది. నాకు తెలిసి ఒకటి గుర్తుకొచ్చింది సరస్వతి ఫాంట్. ఇంకా లైక్ దట్ పేర్లు ఉన్నాయి తెలుగు. రామభద్ర లైక్ ఇంకా ఎనీ ఐడియా ఎనీవన్? గౌతమ్, తెలుగు ఫాంట్ సైజ్ పేర్లు ఏమున్నాయి ఐడియా ఉందా?
తెలుగు ఫాంట్స్ వచ్చేసి రామభద్ర, వాల్మీకి, రమణ తెలుగు ఫాంట్స్.
అంటే ఇది పర్టికులర్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ వాళ్ళు
సెట్ చేసుకుంటారు. వాళ్ళు ఈ ఫాంట్స్ అయితే ఎవరైతే తయారు చేస్తారో సేమ్ ఇప్పుడు మనం ఎంఎస్ వర్డ్ ఎలా కొని మనం ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకుంటాం కదా, ఎంఎస్ వర్డ్ అప్లికేషన్. అంటే మనకు కొన్ని సాధారణంగా అన్ని కంప్యూటర్స్ లో వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చేటప్పుడే అది ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి ఇస్తారు. సేమ్ అలానే అను స్క్రిప్ట్ మనం కొన్నప్పుడు అను స్క్రిప్ట్ కి సమ్ అమౌంట్ పే చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. సో అను స్క్రిప్ట్ తయారు చేసే వ్యక్తి ఒక్కొక్క ఫాంట్ కి అంటే ఆ ఫాంట్ ఉండే స్టైల్, అక్షరము ఉన్న రూపాన్ని బట్టి ఒక్కొక్క పేరు ఉంటుంది. సమ్ ఇప్పుడు చెప్పినట్టుగా వాల్మీకి, రామభద్ర, సరస్వతి ఇలా కొన్ని పేర్లు ఉంటాయి. సేమ్ తెలుగులో ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఎలా పేర్లు ఉన్నాయో సేమ్ అలానే తెలుగులో కూడా పేర్లు ఉంటాయి.
రామరాజా, తిమ్మన్న, వాణి,
అవన్నీ పేర్లు. సో ఆ టైటిల్స్ కూడా ఆ టైప్స్ ను కూడా కొనుక్కోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. తెలుగు ఎవరైతే యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారో వాళ్ళు కూడా ఇవన్నీ కొనుక్కోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఒక్కొక్క ఫాంట్ కి ఒక్కొక్క సమ్ అమౌంట్ ఉంటుంది. వాళ్ళు కొన్నప్పుడే ఆ ఫాంట్ ని వాళ్ళు అఫీషియల్ గా యూజ్ చేసుకోవడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. అయితే కొన్నిసార్లు కొన్ని ఫాంట్స్ కానీ కొన్ని అప్లికేషన్స్ కానీ ఉచితంగా కూడా ఉన్నాయి. అంటే ట్రయల్ బేస్ లో వీటిని మనం పరిగణలోకి తీసుకోలేము. అది కొన్ని రోజులు మాత్రమే ఉంటుంది. 1 వీక్ లేదంటే 1 మంత్ అలా ఉంటుంది. వాటిని అంటే వాటితో పాటుగా మనం వర్క్ చేయలేము. మనం దాంతో పాటుగా మనం చేయలేము. అంటే మనం ఒక ప్రొఫెషనల్ గా చేయలేము. సో అందుకనే ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ఏదైతే న్యూస్ పేపర్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కానీ వాళ్ళు ఆ ఫాంట్స్ ని కొనుక్కుంటారు. they were pay money to the creators of the fonts. Okay,
yes sir.
Right, next class meeku Fatima madam media AP ICT and new media. Okay, మీరు జాయిన్ కండి. మాక్సిమం యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకోండి. ఇంకొక రేపు ఒకటిదే లాస్ట్ క్లాస్. మాక్సిమం అటెండ్ కండి. రేపు సండే కదా, రేపు కూడా ఇంకా గ్యాదర్ చేయండి. మాక్సిమం అటెండ్ అయ్యే విధంగా చూడండి. రేపు ఒకటి లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ ఏమైనా జనరల్ క్వశ్చన్స్ జనరల్ క్వరీస్ ఉన్నా ఏది ఉన్నా క్లియర్ చేయడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. ఓకే లీవ్.
Sure, sir.
సార్ ఓకే సార్. సార్ హలో రేజే క్వశ్చన్. ఇప్పుడు వేరే క్లాస్ ఉన్నదండి మళ్ళీ?
ఉన్నది సార్. ఇప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ ఉంది ఫాతిమా మ్యామ్ది. లింక్ పెడతాను నేను గ్రూప్ లో.
మేడం shall I raise a request? వరదా మేడం
చెప్పండి సార్.
ఇప్పుడు మనకి వీఆర్ ఫ్రమ్ విశాఖపట్నం స్టడీ సెంటర్ దట్ వి నీడ్ క్వశ్చన్ పేపర్స్ మోడల్ క్వశ్చన్ పేపర్స్ ఫర్ లాస్ట్ 2 years. Shall I get through this?
That you will get in main campus, sir. Main campus library. You go and refer that paper, sir.
For that only, madam.
In Jubilee, there is a library. You will get there.
Madam, you are hearing me now?